Hi, I'm Maggie Mesa. I'm a yoga instructor, plus sometimes I do other things like make artwork and do publicity consulting, but today I am in my instructor mode and bringing you a flow that's pretty special. It's designed for people with one leg. Yes, one of my friends had an amputation last year and is now trying to make sure that they're doing floor work and getting back into a fitness routine that's helpful for where their body is right now. And so I am going to give myself a little bit of a challenge, but bind my own leg and then create an entire sequence designed for those with a leg amputation. So bear with me while I go ahead and bind my leg, and then I'm going to do a 30 to 40 minute flow specifically for anyone that is trying to create a yoga practice with only one leg. So bear with me while I get all of this bound, and then stay tuned for the sequence that really anyone can do, even though it's a specialized one. We'll go ahead and start with some floor work, and then we'll do some modified vinyasa sequences, and ending with typical inversions and back bend series. So I'm really excited to be able to do this today, and I'm also excited to be able to combine my knowledge of rope. I'm worried that unless I actually bind my leg, I won't be able to refrain from using it. So we are going to go and use some skills that I developed previously in rope work to get that bound, and then we'll start with the flow. Thank you so much for joining in, and again, anybody can do this flow. It's just specific to anyone that is doing yoga with an amputation as well. So the first thing that I am doing here is this bind on my leg, which will keep it refrained. This is a skill set that I have learned recently through my exploration of rope work, which I am really loving, and being able to even bring a little bit of the rope knowledge to my content is pretty exciting. So I'm in no ways a seasoned vet with this at all, so totally bear with me. But I think we should be able to get this done also. Now that the leg is bound, it's not perfect, but it'll definitely get us through. And let's go ahead and get started with our flow today. As always, it's an honor to bring any yoga sequence to my friends and followers. So thank you again. And from the top of the mat, let's go ahead and get started in a seated and upright position. Spine goes up towards the ceiling, head is tall. Inhales, fill your lungs deeply to all four corners, and exhales, empty them out so you can feel the constriction of your diaphragm at the bottom. As you inhale, try to make your chest puff up and come up towards the top of the ceiling. Your shoulder blades stretch down the back, fall down your back, collarbones expand. Finding a stillness in your mind and a calm in your body. Hands can be on top of your knees to ground down, or in your lap to receive. Letting any of your thoughts slip away as you focus only on the sound of your inhales and your exhales, the sensation of your lungs filling and then depleting. Connecting to the rhythm of your body, allowing anything external, like notifications, or the outside world to slip away, focusing only on your mat and the gift that you're giving yourself through this focus of your spirituality and your physical well-being. A few more breaths here as the last of your thoughts drift away. And bringing your hands to heart center, bowing down before, beginning the practice with an Om and an intention. Either focus on an anchor word or a concept or a person that you can dedicate your practice to. And on your next inhale, come all the way up to the top of your breath, and we'll start with Om. Inhale your arms up, all the way up, looking up over your head. Exhale down towards your sides. Inhale your arms up one more time, up, looking up. And then take the left wrist in the right palm and lean over towards your side, to the right side, finding that stretch through the left side body. Inhaling back up to center, grabbing your other wrist, your right wrist with your left hand, and then pulling over towards the left side. Inhaling back up to center, and now coming down towards the left, all the way onto your forearm. The left continues to reach up, really feeling that lengthening through the left side body now. Inhale. And exhale, finding a little bit more stretch as you lean over towards the left, and then inhaling back up towards center. Exhaling, the left forearm comes down, the right leans all the way over, finding that stretch through the right side body, and inhale. Exhale, reaches a little bit deeper, and then inhaling back up to center. Left hand comes down, right arm guides the neck towards the side, finding a little bit of a stretch here. Trying to increase the space in between your collarbone and your ear. Pressing through the left hand down into the mat to create some counter tension. And then inhaling, right arm goes down, left goes over, creating that length through the left side of the neck. Inhale, creates more length. Exhale, finds a little bit more separation. Also pushing through the right hand here to create more length again. And then releasing the left hand, going into a series of neck rolls. This is especially important for anyone that's tattooing, because we're starting to get into those shoulders and where all of the crunches can happen. Then let's reverse the neck rolls towards the other side. Remember not to cram or jam here. Just rotate gently. And then rolling in from neck rolls, let's get some shoulder action in. Rolling all the way up, scrunching up to the tops of your ears and then pulling them down. Reversing the shoulder circles in a counterclockwise way. And then adding in some seated cat-cows here. So let's scrunch all the way down so the spine comes back towards the back of the wall. And then inhale so that the chest goes all the way up to the ceiling and the ribs are expanding. Exhale, scrunches that spine back towards the back of the wall. And inhale, comes back up, chest up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and do a couple more rounds here on your own. Trying to get the shoulders involved here as you circle all the way down and then circle all the way back up. And once you're here and doing some really organic cat-cows on your own, you can reverse the sides. And for a moment, get into a little bit of organic movement if you want. You can come all the way down here, rotating through your hips and running your hands out wide. And then go ahead and take your left hand towards a 12 o'clock. Bring your right hand towards a 6 o'clock. And twist, finding length on your inhales, and on your exhales, twist a little bit further. Bringing the right hand back forward and the left hand behind. Inhale is to the twist. And then exhale. Inhale finds length and exhale finds a little bit more twist. And then release, walking your hands all the way back down towards the front of your mat. Just finding a little bit of length here as you walk your hands forward as far as possible. Extending your spine and trying to reverse the traction back towards your mat. And then with your head down, go ahead and take your hands so that they clasp all the way behind your back. Holding them there and then rolling yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae until your hands are behind your back. And giving yourself a little bit of a twist and some heart openers here as you create a little bit more space through your collarbones, which feels really good. And then from a seated position, we're going to come up into a tabletop, which should be feasible. Depending on the amputation, whether or not you can put down your knee, or if you just have your knee up too, that's fine. Go ahead and try to keep your wrists under your shoulders and your hip over your knee, and your back as flat as possible. And from the tabletop position, we'll do another series of cat-cows. So just keep playing with your spine here and dropping it down and then bringing it back up. Dropping it down and then bringing it up. So like you're a little kitty cat with the spine all the way straight up like that. And coming over for a hip dip, dropping your hip to the left side and then coming over for a hip dip on the right side. Let's do that one more time. Hip dip on the left side, coming up for a hip dip on the right side, and then pushing from a tabletop position into our first downward dog by curling your toes under and keeping your hands where they are, which should be shoulders width distance apart, but popping up into a three-legged dog or a downward facing dog where your foot should be in line with your hip and your hands are still shoulders width distance apart. Bringing your hips all the way up towards the top of the ceiling. Playing here a little bit, finding a little bit of a bend in your knee and shaking this out in your hip as much as possible and feels good. Then from a downward dog, we're gonna roll up into a plank position. So from the downward position, take your spine and then just start to curve it up. So you're coming all the way up into a plank and then curve it back down into a downward facing dog. Let's do that a couple more times. From downward facing dog, curl up into a long plank and then back into a downward facing dog. We're not done yet. One more of those. Coming up into a plank and then exhale into a downward facing dog. Last one, coming up into a plank and then dropping down to a chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take a moment here to find our breath. Inhaling deeply and exhaling. For a count of 5, that should be 2, 3, and then slowly start to walk your feet, your hands towards your foot. Once you're in a forward fold position, take a moment here. You can keep your hands down. Let me see if I don't think I can balance in a forward fold. Just keep your hands down and really feel this release in your hip while you're bending forward. And then slowly start to roll yourself up into a standing position. This is going to start to get difficult for me, but here I got it. And I'm going to come back so that I am centered while I'm doing this. We're going to get into a little series of standing positions. So let's go ahead and start by inhaling your arms up, looking up, and then taking the wrist in your one hand, the way we did when we were seating, and leaning over towards the right. Right wrist grabs left hand, and finding that space through the right side, and then switching, left hand grabs right wrist, and finding that space in the other side. Inhale back up to a standing position. And then from a standing position, let's go ahead and do some warrior 3 sequences of bending forward, all the way forward so that you're long and your spine is straight, trying to make that parallel with your mat. And then inhaling all the way back up to a standing position. Exhale, cactus your arms. Inhale, chest up towards the ceiling. Exhale, dip back a little bit, finding some space here. Inhale your arms back forward, and exhale, we're going back into a warrior 3, finding that space, creating that length through your spine, trying to get yourself parallel towards the mat, and then inhaling back up to a standing position. Exhale your hands to a cactus. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, bend back a little bit. Inhale, last one, hands go up. Exhale, forward into warrior 3, hands forward. Hold here, finding a little bit more length, and then exhale your feet back down towards the ground. Inhale finds a little bit of length, and I know that you can do it. Hold your hands down and then hop that foot back into a chaturanga position. Exhale drops you down into a low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. From a downward facing dog position, let's take our right hand, center that in the middle of the mat, bringing that leg down low, dropping the left, bringing the left hand up into a side plank, trying to keep that hip as high up and elevated, feeling that burn through the abs, and then taking that left hand down, rotating to the knife edge of the foot, and bringing that right hand all the way up towards the top of the ceiling, feeling that lengthening again, and then exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down. Let's calm down a little bit and take a moment to center our breath by going into a child's pose. Rolling your third eye back and forth. Finding that extension through the spine again by walking your hands forward. Feeling the length through the tailbone as it comes all the way towards the feet, and then going and crawling forward so that you are on your stomach at the top of the mat. We're going to do some back extensions by bringing our hands forward all the way to the front, creating the prayer position. On your exhale, go ahead and release all the way down into the mat, and then on your inhale, pop up, bringing your foot and your hands off, really trying to bend through your back and your chest. And then exhale back down to the mat. Inhale brings your hands to the side into a cactus position. Exhale, release into the mat. Inhale brings your feet up and your chest off the mat, lifting up. Exhale, brings them back down. Finding a release one more time on the exhale. Inhale, take your foot into your hand, and the other one can come back if you'd like. And then inhale, bringing that up, creating even more tension through the back. And then exhaling that back down onto the mat. Pushing up into on your knees once more. Coming all the way up, and we're going to dip back, if you can, into a camel position, just finding a little bit more of a back bend here. Inhaling back up, and then bringing your feet forward and around in front of you so that we can, your foot, get into forward fold position. You're going to want to take your leg out as much as you can in front of you. And then just bend forward, relaxing over that foot. And feeling that hip release. When you're done folding forward, you can take your left foot take your foot by the side of your body, and then go ahead and lean all the way back down onto your back, bringing your knees up to hug and rolling back and forth. Shaking this out and putting a little bit of movement into your spine. And then we're going to pop up into a shoulder stand. So from your back, you can just elevate yourself up and grasp onto your shoulders, balance onto your shoulders, but support your lower back. Toes go up towards the ceiling, toe goes up towards the ceiling. And if you want, you can also play here and put a little bit of movement into the series, which feels really good on the hips, and that I always love to do. And then from the shoulder stand position, bring your leg behind your back, catching that leg at the top of your mat and clasping your hands onto the mat behind you to create that resistance in between the two movements. I just love being upside down, so I try to go into this position pretty frequently. And then slowly roll yourself down vertebrae by vertebrae until you're back on the back of your mat. And then let's go into a quick series of reverse pigeons. So for that, you're going to want to create a reverse 4. To do so, you can bring your knee up and just pull it in, creating a little bit of tension there. And then go ahead and cross that over on your other leg and pull that in. You can use your left elbow to push out your hip, creating a little bit more tension through that. And then bring your knees back together and windshield wiper them side to side. Before we end, we got to get a little bit of core work in. So while we're on our back, let's make sure that we do a couple releases of the lower abs. So let's just take both of our legs, or take your hips up, and then slowly bring those down towards the floor. Inhale your leg back up. Pop your booty up to create that lower ab. Release tension, release end tension, and then lower your left leg down. One more time, popping up, creating a little bit of space, and then lowering that back down. Going into some twists. Take your left leg, cross it over the right, and then allow both legs to fall towards the right side of the mat, looking over the left arm. Twists are great to detox and squeeze out the organs. Inhale, back up towards center. Take your right leg and cross it over the left however you can. And then fall the left leg. Allow your legs to fall towards the left side of the mat and look over the right. Deep inhales and exhales here as we come towards the end of our practice. And then inhaling again up towards the center of your mat, your knees up towards the center of your mat, hugging them in. And then exhale, releasing into a savasana. Ankles go out farther than the hips. Wrists are wider than the shoulders. Allowing yourself to sink deeply into your mat, thanking yourself for the moments that you spent on your body and your health today. It's meaningful for yourself and for everyone else. And I invite you to spend as much time in savasana as you would enjoy, and that feels good. Whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and push back up into a seated position, coming to a couple closing positions. Bring your arms into peace sign or into OK signs, and then take them to rest on the top of your knees. Arms are long, looking 1.5 feet in front of you. Dial down your mind if it's gotten back up, and try to connect back into that word or intention or phrase that we started the practice with. Thinking about how you can take your yoga from the mat to the rest of the world. And knowing that the practice of yoga and being a yogi is much more about how we represent ourselves off the mat than anything we do with the asanas. But being grateful that you gave yourself the gift of movement, which is so important, especially during times of quarantine. When you're ready, bringing your hands back into a prayer position. Exhaling all of your air to the bottom of your lungs. Inhaling deeply, and then we'll go into the sound of Om. Thank you so much for joining me for a yoga practice designed for people with one leg. Who would have thought that this was going to get to be one of really fun and exciting challenges that I could work on in this new year as a yoga instructor. I'm so grateful for everything that I get to do professionally, whether it's art, whether it's yoga, whether it's consulting. So thank you for everyone that joins in. I really hope that this practice can be helpful. I'll keep doing specialized requests, especially the one-legged ones, if that's helpful for any of my friends. Just let me know. Getting started with this also. Otherwise, expect lots more yoga content to keep coming forward. I really appreciate everyone for their support and for tuning in. Again, I'm Maggie Mesa, and I am so happy that you're here. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day after watching this, and I look forward to staying connected with you moving forward. Thank you.